Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. Today I have a special guest with me. Her name is Hannah. She is one of my incredible clients, and I thought it would be great to have Hannah on the podcast so she can share the journey that she has been on so far and talk to you about all that she's lost and all that she's gained from the coaching process. And I know that many of you are going to resonate with her and have probably experienced many of the same things, many of the same fears, many of the same apprehensions. And I know that she is going to really inspire you. And without further ado, I'm going to try and let Hannah do all the talking today. Let me introduce you to the lovely Hannah. So welcome, Hannah.
Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
Yes, great to have you on. It's great to have you on. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's who's Hannah? Tell us about yourself.
Who am I? So, I am a 36-year-old mother. I've got one little boy called Jude. I have been on a weight loss journey. It seems like all my life. I've yo-yo dieted backwards and forwards. I've lost weight. I've gained lots of weight. But there's never been any sort of consistency to any of it. I have a very busy life. My husband works in London. I have a house I have to look after, so I've got a job. I work part-time. Going backwards and forwards to school all the time with my friends. So I'm very, very busy. So trying to prioritize myself at times has always been a struggle.
Yeah.
So and that's where I think, unfortunately, back end of last year, I got COVID, which really really hit me quite hard. I had back-to-back chest infections, resulting at New Year, I was taken by an ambulance to hospital to Watford, and I was there for 4 days. Obviously came home, but I was very, very poorly, and the recovery process took quite a long time. And I think it was at that point I really thought, had I been healthier, had I have been a bit fitter, would I have gotten to that point? And then that's where lovely Debra came into my life.
So tell us, you had obviously poor health with COVID. Where were you in terms of your body composition, your overall health prior to COVID? How were things for you then in terms of your health and weight?
Well, when I got COVID in September 23, at that point I wasn't at my healthiest at all. Unfortunately, my grandmother had passed away. That had hit me rather hard, and I had gained a lot of weight in that sort of 6-month period. So I wasn't at my fittest at all. And if anything, then contracting COVID, not looking after myself, going, it's almost like from there it was a spiral, downward spiral, really. And no, I was not at my fittest, and it only got worse. I mean, I've always in the past, at times, I've been a member of a gym. I've gone and swam a lot. I've never been in the gym. I've always been swimming. And so I have at points in my life, you're talking about 15 or so years ago, I have enjoyed being a member of a gym, but specifically since I had my son, I haven't been able to allocate that time. I suffered from postnatal depression, which actually caused me to lose a lot of weight. I also got diagnosed with epilepsy when I was pregnant, which obviously had a huge impact on my life. But I lost a lot of weight, but then I started to gain it very rapidly. On the flip turn, I do take a steroid every day, so that's something I have to consider every day. But yeah, when I was really poorly last year, that I was at the bottom, really, and it only got worse to where I was, in January in hospital, laying there thinking the worst could happen. And then obviously I kind of made that decision that had I have been in a better physical health had I mentally been stronger as well, because ultimately, I'm sure as we lead through this podcast, your health ultimately supports your mental health as well. Your physical health, obviously, supports your mental health. And had I have been in a better place, I might not have got there. So,
I mean, you're absolutely right about your physical health really does affect your mental well-being and emotional well-being. You reached out to me in the March of this year, so it didn't take you too long after recovering to set about doing something about your health. We had a call. I remember that call really well. So anyone that inquires about coaching, obviously I find about your goals, any of your struggles, how I can help you, if I'm the right coach for you. And I remember the call because your mum was on the call with us. She was with you by your side. And, it, I loved seeing your mum on the call, because to have that support from someone who really cares about you, that really wants the best for you, was so obvious during that call. It was a great call. What were your thoughts when we had our call? Like, obviously, it's very overwhelming, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Obviously, my mum. The reason she was on the call was because she'd worked with a colleague who'd received your coaching, and had obviously been on a journey herself, and she'd seen firsthand the effect that you'd had on that client. So when I was obviously at my worst, my mum said, "Look, let's reach out to this lady called Debra." And I sat here actually in this exact point,
Yeah.
and did that call with you that first time with my mum, because I didn't want to do it on my own because I was so scared. And I think that's ultimately, it's almost like you have to take that jump, and it was a big jump to sort of reach out to you, to join you on a Zoom. But yeah, I was God, I was so scared. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, it's almost like you're facing all your fears in once, because it's almost like a harsh reality check that now something is wrong, and you've got to take that step. It's like, just stepping over a line. It's not hard, but you're mentally you're thinking, I cannot do this. And I got off that call with you, you were fantastic, and I was like so shocked, and I think I shocked myself, and maybe it was the realization I actually needed to then, a week or two later, start the coaching with yourself. But I did need to have that moment to sort of take it all in, sort of process it all, and then confirm to myself, no, this is what you need to do, Hannah. You have got to just try.
Yeah.
Going in not knowing what coaching was about, but it was a very scary thing, but a scary in a good way,
Yeah. I mean, I can fully 100% appreciate what you're saying. And it doesn't pass me by when, I have women reach out to me and they tell me what it is that they want to achieve or what they're finding difficult. And it really is hard to take that first step, because a lot of people don't actually know what coaching is. I don't know, like, I don't actually, I should ask the question, what do you think coaching is? Because I think people think their life's going to be turned upside down and it's going to be miserable and it's going to be restrictive and so many things they can't do. But in fact, it's the opposite. It's actually
Completely.
very inclusive. It's living the life that you want. And I help you do that whilst progressing towards your goals. But I completely understand how overwhelming and scary it can feel. So I totally get that. And I'm so glad that you have started. Obviously started in March. It's been, what's that, 8 months? It's not even the
8
math
months.
lost on me. It's about 8 months. And it's not actually that longer period really for what you've achieved. And we're going to be sharing with everyone exactly what you have achieved. So there's like so much I want to extract from Hannah. I don't know where to start. So I'm just going to I've written out some list of questions. I'm just going to start with the list of questions. So Hannah did start.
Go ahead.
She started. She's here on the podcast now. And I want to, before we talk about weight loss, because ultimately, most women that I'd say 99% of the women that contact me are after weight loss. You know, some just want improved health, to gain strength, support themselves in the aging process, you know, support menopause, etc. But we're going to talk about all that you've lost. But I first of all want to talk about how your life has changed and all that you've gained from coaching, because I think
Yeah.
it's very easy to miss that out. And like, for the listener, when I have my weekly check-ins with my clients and they fill out a form or they voice note me, text me, however they want to communicate with me, and they share with me their wins of the week, the challenges, questions, and anything I can coach and support them in into the following week. And every time Hannah sends me a message, I grin from just ear to ear with all her wins. And I want you to share some of them now. So the question I want to ask you is, what do you do now that is different in your life, your day-to-day life, compared to what you were doing before? How has your life changed? Has your life changed?
Well, yeah, my life has changed drastically, but not drastically, as in like it's not impacted me. It's not a chore. It's a positive impact. I think that yeah, I mean, I just think that the whole process of coaching, you don't realize when you say coaching and your weight loss goal, you don't actually realize the other things you're going to gain from it. All the fitness, the mental part, the inclusive, the difference. For instance, like, recently I said to you, I went to the football, and it sounds so silly, like being able to sit really comfortably on a chair at the football, not feel like you're going to take up like a seat and a half. You're going to be elbowing the person next to you. Little things like that. That's what you don't realize, and it's not. That's not, obviously it's to do with weight loss, but it's to do with the journey you're going on, and little things. Like I remember at one time I took my little boy to go and get his school shoes. A normal trip would do to Clark's. We went to Wembley, got in the in the lift, and I just looked at myself and I thought, "Han, you look good," And it was at that point I remember messaging you saying I'd not realised how much I avoided looking in the mirror.
Mm.
And that was the first time I'd actually stood there and looked at myself in the mirror and thought, oh, I'm happy with what I look. I'm not avoiding, seeing my reflection. I'm not avoiding that. And that's the sort of things that you don't realise. Obviously, you're going to lose weight. Obviously, you're going to fit into smaller clothes. You're going to be stronger, but you don't realise the little things, like creating new habits. Like I've said before, I go every week I used to always go every Thursday after drop off with one of my really good friends to go for coffee. We'd sit in a coffee shop for an hour or so, debating life or whatever has happened in that week. But now we go and get coffee still, but we go for a walk and take our dog for a walk,
Yeah.
for an hour or so. And they're the little things you don't realise that now you incorporate it into your life. Going to the gym, 2 times, 3 times a week isn't a chore because it's just part of my life now. It's not impacting me. It's just learning new behaviours. And when you reap the benefit of those behaviours, why would you stop them?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've done amazing with that, because let's just talk about the gym for a minute, because
Mhm.
I know, like, whether it be from clients, from my own personal friends, from people I speak to, is they often do classes, or like you
Mhm.
said, go swimming, and they avoid the gym. And if they do pluck up the courage to go into the gym, they go and walk on a treadmill or
Yeah.
do, a cross trainer or whatever, a bike. And when you started, I introduced the gym. We started slowly, just
Mhm.
picked, just learning the sort of movement patterns and moving your body. And you actually took to the gym like a duck to water. And you'd never worked from like a structured program before.
No.
And,
But you say that, I remember the first session on a Thursday after I dropped my son off to school. I'd just signed up for the gym that weekend before, and I think it was the first week, and you set my program. And I went to go up the stairs to where at the gym I'm at, you go up like a flight of stairs. So I went up these stairs, I stood there, and I walked back down.
Right.
And I was like, I can't do this. So I walked back upstairs, I stood there, and I phoned my husband. I said, Ian, I can't go in here. I can't do this. This is just like, I don't fit in here. I can't do this. So I walked back down. And Ian said, Hannah, just go and find someone who works there and just say, I've got a coach and she set me a program. Please, can you show me how to use the machines? So I was like, oh no, I can't do that. So I walked upstairs and then I just said to myself, sod it, Hannah, just go and ask someone. Yeah, just go and do it. And then ever since that point, and with the structured your programs that you do, and obviously they progress, I was able to achieve it. So it wasn't a fearful thing anymore. And I walked out of there thinking, I've done that, and
Yeah, amazing.
and
Yeah,
then it's just sort of progressed from there. And now what I do all the time, that
yeah.
I'm there all the time. So
Hannah was missing from the gym for a couple of weeks. When she returned, the instructor noticed that she'd been missing and asked her where she'd been. Like, that's how much of a regular you are now. The other thing that Hannah now has achieved when she goes to the gym, and I'm going to ask you in a minute just to talk about the time that you go to the gym, because I think that also needs recognizing. Not that everyone needs to do the same thing, but Hannah now goes to the gym. She's a regular. She trains, 2, 3 times a week. But alongside this is she's, in areas of the gym that before were considered, the men's area or the area where
grr area.
they know where people go where they think they know what they're doing. Like it's not
Yeah.
always the case. And now you're in those areas and you're filming because I like to look at your movement, your form and review it and make sure that everything you're doing is right. You film, it's not like a big deal anymore. You're quite comfortable. Tell
Yeah.
everyone when what's your routine with the gym? When do you go?
So I started off going after I dropped my son to school, and I felt like this is taking up my time. I don't know if I can do this. So I can't remember how I decided, or whether it had been a conversation with someone. I can't remember how it came about, but I just decided, well, it opens at 6 o'clock. My house doesn't wake up until post 7 o'clock. So if I've got a gym session that's, let's say, I don't know, half an hour or 45 minutes, I could go at 6 o'clock and be back and everyone will still be asleep. It's not affected anybody else. It's not impacted my day, so I can still go and do the things I like to do, whether it's work or whether on my days off. So it's not affecting my life as such. So I get up now every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It depends what time because of how I work or what have you. But every Tuesday and Thursday, my alarm goes off at 5:30. Usually, actually, I'm like this morning. I was awake before it, and I just get changed in the bathroom for the gym and slip out. No one even knows I've gone.
It's
and
amazing.
I'm there for 6 o'clock, and you're there. It's the start of your day. Right now, obviously, it's slightly different because it's very dark. But in the spring and what have you, in the autumn when you see the sunrise, it's a lovely feeling. Like to feel that when you're driving to the gym, life's still asleep, but you're
Yeah.
sneaking to the gym and you're going to this place that's alive and full of people,
Full
and
of
it gives you, yeah, it is, and it gives you something. It gives you a buzz. It gives you the start to the day that I now feel I require certain days of the week.
Yeah, it's definitely become part of your life, definitely part
100%.
of your routine. How has coaching has it enriched your life or has it rippled out into other areas of your life in terms of, I don't know, friendships, relationships?
I mean, yes, and I never expected that ever from coaching. I just felt coaching would be about just me, and just my weight loss journey or my fitness goals or my goal that I've got in mind. I didn't really realise the ripple effect it has on your whole life. So whether that's, with my friends, things I now do, activities I do with my friends now, whether that's, my relationship with my husband, that's had a ripple effect on that. On my son, becoming an example to my son, to the point now that on a Sunday we go for a family bike ride. I'd never have dreamed of that. And it's sort of showing Jude the benefits of focusing on yourself and making yourself stronger. And my husband, he too has joined the gym, and he goes to the gym. We go opposite days to each other. It allows us both to have some time to ourselves, because being in the gym and having that bit of time, I think, is actually incredible. And I don't think you ever value having that time to yourself. And the effect that he's had on, my coaching has had a ripple effect on him. He's lost like about 4.5 stone now.
That's
It's incredible.
amazing. That's amazing.
On your friends, when you talk to people, they know. I haven't really been at the beginning, Deborah, I didn't really speak about my coaching a lot. I was kept it quite private. But then as the journey went along, people could visibly see I was happier. I was obviously losing weight, but I think it was more the effect it was having on me physically, and in my just aura. People were like, "Wow, you look amazing," or "You're looking great, Han," and that's the effect that you don't realize coaching has. It's not just about losing weight or going to the gym. It impacts everything in your life.
That's incredible. I love to hear that. Now, let's talk about the weight loss, because it's unreal. Hannah, do you want to tell everybody how much weight have you lost since we've started? I mean,
So
you went to a doctor, an appointment before coaching. Tell us the
yeah.
appointment, and how it's been from that appointment to coaching, and how much you've lost.
So I went to an appointment with my doctor as a checkup, from having been signed off when I was recovering from being under the hospital's care. And I went now back to my GP's care. And she weighed me. And at that point, she was like, oh, I need to refer you to a nutritionist who works in the clinic and in the doctor's surgery. And I walked out of there knowing, one, what I weighed now, and two, thinking that the world was about to fall apart, because I suddenly realised it was a stark reality check. And yeah, obviously with the doctors, I was underneath them for a bit, along with your coaching. But obviously reaching out to you guys, you and your support. Yeah, at that point, I couldn't believe how much I weighed. It would never reach that weight, and now I'm 67 pounds later, and I've dropped
Later and
later and lighter. Yeah. And yes, I've lost 67 pounds, which is phenomenal, and I cannot believe that I'm sitting here saying that. And if you told me at the beginning of my coaching that I'd have been able to achieve that by this time, I'd have poo-pooed that. I said, nah, that's never going to happen, not me. But I actually feel like it's not just the weight I've lost now, it's about the physical changes that I've had because of working out and training. The effect it's had on my actual physique physically is actually more than the weight that the fat that I've lost, the muscle that I've gained, the strength that I've gained, my body shape has changed so much. That's more of the gain that I've had. Obviously the weight is amazing as well.
Yeah, of course the weight loss is amazing, and it does need recognizing, because it takes work, it takes effort, it takes difficult choices sometimes, and you've been really consistent. And as Hannah will confirm, it's never about being perfect, and it's about living your life and doing the best that you can consistently, and it's proved that you can make progress like that. Just touching on the weights and using the gym. Now, I talk about strength training and the importance of strength training, and I've recorded podcasts on it. And I would urge anyone listening, if you haven't listened to it, to scroll back. And there's a few all about strength training and the importance, especially for women. But if you diet and lose weight without exercise and without strength training. You will literally, if you are successful in your weight loss, you will just become a smaller version of your larger self. If you lose weight and you strength train, you are, ideally building muscle. And building muscle may sound scary. It may sound like, oh, I don't want to build muscle. But actually, you do want to build muscle, because muscle um, contributes to your overall health. You need muscle for your health. And when it comes to your body composition and the ratio of body fat to lean muscle, when you're losing weight, but you're also increasing muscle, that is how you get the lean, toned look. And there's no doubt about it, Hannah, you are building muscle. And in that first year, particularly when you're what I call a newbie to this, your body is very responsive, and it's a great window of opportunity to really get some gains. And like, you've proved that. You've absolutely proved that, because your body shape has changed. And we use progress photos as part of coaching. And I wear glasses to see the detail. I don't need to see glasses to see Hannah's detail. It's very apparent of how her body's changing. Do you, Hannah, because obviously I could talk for England, but can you can you give like the listeners who maybe don't have an idea what, they've yo-yo dieted all their life. They've, been where you were initially. Maybe they've, lost weight in the past, done really well on whatever diets, diet club, etc. But if anyone has like lost and gained and never seems to keep it off, and you've done that yourself, Hannah, but with coaching, can you just talk about, so people hear it from you and it's not biased because it's your experience, what like what have we done in coaching? Has anything been drastic or restrictive? Like, how has it been? Can you talk about what we did in terms of the nutrition side of things?
Yes, obviously, when we first started our coaching journey, you asked me to take photos of the food to sort of establish what I was eating and my likes, my routines. I had been an intermittent faster, and I was very, very set on
You were.
still intermittent fasting. And it was really, the start of it was sort of you learning me and me learning you, sort of thing. But it was never ever tracking. There was never any writing of any what I've eaten. It was literally just uploading photos. And then obviously with your coaching, you would review those photos and say, you could have made a swap here, or if it was me, I would have maybe bulked out of a bit more veg, or, making little changes. And I'm a chocoholic, and you said to me, you need to eat some chocolate every single day. So that's what I did, a very small bit, to the point that now I don't eat chocolate every day at all, But to start off with, at the beginning, it was like a learning process and learning about the nutrition, actually more of an education,
Mm.
which I'd never received before from doing things like, very popular slimming classes.
Yeah. You can say it. Weight Watchers and
Okay.
Slimming World dress up.
Yes.
Yeah, they dress it
Yeah.
up and call it sins and points and expect
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
the rest of their life like that.
And you know what, though? You can eat a whole bowl of pasta. It's all right. You can eat 25 millilitres because they're free, like
Mm.
rock on. But that's not the case. It's not teaching you the nutritional value of food, or, the benefits of eating protein, or the benefits of bulking things out with vegetables, the nutritional value of your food. You don't learn that. You just learn how to tick a box. Oh, yeah, I've eaten an A or a B and I've had so many sins. Oh, and if you don't eat your sins, you can't carry them over. That's just absolute nonsense when I think back on it now,
Yeah.
And only recently, so to start off with, like I said, I was like, no, I intermittent fast. I said, no, I'm never going to have breakfast, Deborah. Sorry, you will not change me there. Well, after obviously doing my gym sessions, and I became more hungry, and it wasn't because I wasn't eating, it was because my body physically was requiring more food to sustain it and give it some energy, the correct food, not the wrong food, um and only then I was like, okay, well, we'll try a breakfast, and then now I've got myself into a really good routine. I'm so much more aware of the food choices I'm making when I go out to a meal, for instance. I don't stop myself going out. I go out all the time, but you just think mindfully of, or if I want to have a good time and enjoy, understand that that's the choice I've made, and but only recently have I actually started tracking, and until then, that's probably what, about maybe 6 weeks ago, not relatively
Mm.
recently.
Yeah.
And until then, all I did was photograph my food, and just learn how to tweak things from your coaching. And that's all it wasn't anything. It's not rocket
No,
science.
it's not, it doesn't turn your life upside down. And just to give context, so I use a coaching app and it's very easy to use. And the app allows uh, my clients, if they're using food photos, you simply in the app press the plus button, aim your
Yeah,
camera, press the button, and it
I'm done.
uploads to the app, and then I see it, and whoever's uploaded the picture gets to see it. And it's a
Yeah.
really easy way to make small tweaks and changes to someone's existing diet. Because if I was
Mhm.
to try and change Hannah's diet to say something that I liked, but she doesn't like it, she's not going to stick to it. It's not going to give her any satisfaction or happiness. So it's about
Exactly.
looking at the diet that you have and other clients have and making those tweaks to suit them and what and
Mhm.
their preferences. And that's, you eat food. I don't tell you what to eat. I obviously teach you the components and how to build a balanced
Yeah.
meal, but you choose what you put in that meal. And I think that's really important, which is why I don't write meal plans. And to be honest, I'm not qualified to write a meal plan. Only dietitians can write a meal plan. So personal trainers can't write you a meal plan. Many people do, but you're not
They
actually
do.
supposed to. And it's very lazy coaching because it's not
Mm.
teaching you anything. And I actually, for some clients, encourage them to write their own meal plan. And I look it over, but it's them that's created it. But
Yeah.
you've done well. Now, the reason why we recently introduced a bit of tracking, and I wouldn't say we do it. You do it religiously. It's kind of
No.
sometimes photos, sometimes tracking. And the reason why we brought it in, and one of the benefits of one-to-one coaching, is because we have touch points throughout the week, but we have a weekly check-in. Is if we need to make changes or if the progress has slowed down, I obviously look at why. Maybe I do nothing and we just hang in there and be consistent. And other times I might think, right, we need to just make a little change here. So I thought it would be a good idea to just have a really relaxed approach so Hannah could really get an understanding of, tracking and actually seeing what the calorie value is, because we didn't need to know that before. And you'd
No.
lost a lot of weight, progress had been coming, and then it slowed down a bit.
Mm.
And that's not unusual because you're a smaller person now. So your
Yeah.
requirements are less because you're
Mhm.
smaller. Um, and so we had to just do a little bit of just a bit more awareness, and it's worked a treat because
It's taught me.
you've dropped so much weight in this lead
Yeah.
up to Christmas. And
I mean, I think also, like,
unreal.
to sort of add to what you just said, obviously you've become a smaller person, so you need to, consume less calories than I was. But I think also it's about the education of what calories for what meals, and really being aware of what calories you're consuming. Whereas in the past I wasn't aware at all. But I think when I had that little bit of a plateau, which is natural, like you said, it's just refocusing yourself. And I didn't change anything drastic. If
No.
anything, I was actually, you eating more protein than I was before. So again, just being more mindful and aware of that. And nothing else really changed. It was just being a little bit more focused and being aware of what I was eating
Yeah.
and what was being consumed at each meal, rather than just sort of being laissez-faire as such.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to put in here as well is that obviously over the 8 months I've been coaching Hannah, she has been on holidays, weekends away, out
Loads.
regularly, has an active social life, a good friendship group. Like, you're busy.
Yeah.
You've done things. Would you agree that even though you've done all these things, you went to Spain for however many weeks, it was quite a long
Yeah.
time.
Almost
You,
3 weeks, yeah.
yeah, you just applied the routine
Yeah.
with a bit of flexibility because you're on holiday, but you just did
Yeah.
it in Spain instead of doing it in the UK.
100%. And, I couldn't go to the gym. I didn't have a gym to go to. So, and it was very hot, so I wouldn't have wanted to go to a gym. But so I just decided to get up in the morning. And when my dad's has a house in Spain, there's all these all these orange fields. They've all got paths. It's still safe. It's a little remote village. So I just decided to listen to a podcast every other day and go out for a nice long walk, before it got too hot. Um, and yeah, I just applied breakfast. I still ate my breakfast I had in the UK in Spain. For my lunch, if we went out for lunch, I would just sort of be mindful. But if I wanted something, I didn't stop myself. I did a sort of like, think about 3 meals of the day. 2 of them were within my goal, and one of them I enjoyed. Um, and yeah, I didn't lose or gain weight. I stayed exactly the same weight
Which is
over that
amazing.
whole time.
Yeah.
So to have gone away and, I had the odd, I had ice creams, I ate things. I didn't ever stop myself ever eating anything. Obviously, if I was full, didn't need anything to eat, but I didn't say I'm not going to have an ice cream with my son by the seaside. If I wanted it, I was going to have it.
Absolutely.
And I think, I've been away, even going to my in-laws. They live quite far away, so we go there quite often, every few months. Even going to see them in the past, I'd obviously just turn up. But now actually being mindful of taking a few bits with me, whether that's my breakfast, my Greek yogurt or what have you. But being mindful, but still applying what I want to eat when I'm there, and but then again, still having a nice time if we want to go out for a meal. I wouldn't stop myself. And I think it's just understanding that food doesn't consume your life. It doesn't, if you're on a diet, like whether it's like when you're in the swimming world, it seems to consume you all the time. It's all you ever think about is when my next meal is, when I'm going to be eating. I'm not hungry. I'm satisfied. My body feels so healthy. I don't need to eat all this junk. I don't need to eat all this stuff. And it's having that balance of being able to go out like I've been this weekend to Bath and have a few too many mulled wines. But I was able to have them and enjoy them. I didn't put any weight on while I was
Yeah.
in Bath, you
Yeah.
know.
One of the things that you've now realised is you can socialise, you take part, you enjoy the food that's on offer when you're, out of your normal routine and stuff like that. But the difference is now is that you enjoy it and then get on with the rest of your day, as
Yeah,
opposed to thinking, oh no, I've ruined things, and then have a succession of other, you
yeah.
know, what people
It
might
doesn't become
see.
a catalyst that sort
Yes.
of,
Yeah. That doesn't happen now. And you see, it's not the one indulgence that you enjoy that ruins your progress. It's
no,
the 10 other indulgences you're crammed in on top because you thought that one indulgence ruined things. And that's what's
yeah.
really changed.
And I think as well, it's having the confidence to say no as well,
Mm.
you know. But actually, no, I don't need something, and not feel that you're going to miss out, or you know, like I went out at the weekend and we had a set menu. The pudding came. I just didn't want it, and so I just left it. Yes, they'd brought it out. I didn't feel guilty that they brought this lovely pudding out. I didn't eat it. I just didn't need it.
Yeah. Well,
I
you
felt
chose.
like I,
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say you chose not to have it, Hannah. Like
yeah,
you could have a dessert every day if you want. And when you
100%.
realise that, the the I'm trying to think of the right word. Like sometimes we put all these foods on a pedestal, they become such a big deal. But when
Yeah,
you realise that if I want to have a pudding every single day, like Deborah says, Deborah never tells me I can't.
no,
You can make it work, but actually when it's a bit like the chocolate you were having initially every day, the novelty wears off, doesn't it? And then
yeah.
you're like, do I want it, don't I want it?
I don't actually need it,
Yeah.
you know. And that's that pudding. I knew if I ate it, I'd feel really unwell. I'd have gone and just indulged, and the feeling I'd have felt, I know, would have made me feel really unwell, really full. I wouldn't have been able to sit there and enjoy being with my friends and I'd have just felt really sick. So
Yeah.
why would I make myself feel that way,
Yeah. You're more in tune with your fullness now, and you don't
100%.
eat past that comfortable point, and that's a really big, a really big thing to recognize as well, and not eat for the sake of it because it's there, because you paid
Yeah,
for it, because this, because that. And you made a
yeah,
really good point, Hannah, about not worrying about saying no now. And
mm,
again, I know from speaking to so many people, whether it's with alcohol, whether it's with food, whether it's eating at the mother-in-law's or whatever it might be, is they feel like they need to people please and say yes to things, even though inside they're dying and thinking
yeah,
no. And it gets easier with practice, and it does become
100%.
easier. So yeah,
But you're not missing out on anything. It's not affected my life just because I've not had one pudding or I haven't had a bit of chocolate one day. It doesn't affect you. So you kind of like, yeah, it doesn't bother you, I'm not restricting anything, it's not a restrictive diet. And the reason I'm making those choices is because I'm seeing the effect in my progress, and I would not want to now go back. If I think like a year ago what I'd have eaten, I could not consume that. And if anything, sometimes I might have been consuming less than what I am now, as in like earlier I had a stir fry, with all vegetables, and I bulked out with some more vegetables. I filled actually my plate up more than I might have in the past, but I'm filling it up with the correct food that I want to consume because it makes me feel good, you
yeah,
know. I
it's
think that's the difference.
that's what's motivating. So people sort of are waiting to feel motivated, and unfortunately you'll be waiting a long time, because
Yeah.
motivation doesn't, like, we don't wake up with motivation. And I love exercise, I love all this kind of thing, but I don't wake up every morning and think, oh, I'm going to the gym. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes you
Yeah.
don't feel motivated to go, but you do it anyway.
Yeah.
And when you get the feel good results and you're seeing progress, it's that's motivating. And that's what motivates
Correct.
you, Hannah. That's definitely what
Yeah.
motivates you. Now, talking of like motivation, Hannah, not long into coaching, I decided to round up my clients and gently persuade them to enter a fitness challenge. It was called Battle Cancer, and it involved working in a team of four, doing, I don't know, was there 8 stations or something,
Yeah.
eight
Something like that. Yeah.
exercises, and some Hannah had never done before, as had
Most of
one
them
of
I
the
had
other
never done.
ladies. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to train you for it. It'll be fine. We're going to be a team, and it's all teamwork and everything. And Hannah put her name down, which was amazing. And there was 2 teams of us. So there was eight clients. And talk about, share your experience with battle
Oh,
cancer.
I loved it. It was fantastic. It was absolutely phenomenal. And to think that when I first said, yeah, okay, I'll do it, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, okay. Thinking that I wouldn't be able to do it, thinking that I would be the one who was holding the team back or being like, yeah, it was just incredible. And being in that environment, the training leading up into it as well. Um, Obviously training with the other ladies, which was really inspiring as well. Being part of a team, that was fantastic. And then on the day, obviously being there and being in the environment was just
Mm.
phenomenal. And it was just something that I never thought. I didn't even know what it's going to be like, to be honest with you. I had no expectations to go in and see this phenomenal, like, all this equipment set up. I was like, oh, and my family came to see me as well. And to see them watching me and be so proud, like, made me feel so proud. And I actually did it, and I did it. I couldn't believe it that it was obviously, everyone was getting hot and sweaty, as everybody was there. There's people who were 10 times fitter than me, and they were hot and sweaty, but it was so inclusive, and it made you realize you really can do anything if you put your mind to it. And feeling that you get from achieving something, and setting yourself a goal that's completely outside your comfort zone and actually achieving it, it was just incredible. And it's an experience, an experience that I will never forget. It was my first one, and hopefully I can do other events going forward. And it's given me the confidence now to know you can do these things, and yeah, I just thought it was absolutely inspiring, and I
Yeah,
absolutely loved it.
you were phenomenal, and I remember your fear and worry about, am I
Mm.
going to let the team down, and am I going
Yeah,
to be able to do this? And I was like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And the training, you know, progressively trained
that's
you for that event, and then I would
yeah.
get the clients together, those that lived nearby. We would do some team sessions and sort of
Mm.
simulations of the day, and it really did work. But you know what I remember most about that day, and I have said this to you. It was held at the London Olympia, and if you're familiar with that location, it's the most amazing venue. It's like a massive greenhouse,
Yeah.
basically, and you have like a set, like a balcony floor that goes all around the main floor,
Yeah, you sort of look in on it.
and you look down at everyone exercising. And Hannah's family, her husband, her mum, and her son were on the balcony, and all I remember was looking up, because me and Hannah were partners, and all I remember was looking up and looking at your family, and I could feel the pride and the love just emanating from them down the balcony
Yeah.
onto the floor where we were exercising. I almost couldn't take my eye. Oh, it's going to make me cry, like
Oh
feel
God.
really tearful, because they were just so proud of you, like
They've been phenomenal.
unbelievably proud.
And for my husband to be there, like I've gone and watched him at so many running competitions that he's done, around the country. Um, and for him to actually be there watching me, he still was he was just like he was in awe of it, he couldn't believe it. And he couldn't believe how strong I was. He said he couldn't, because obviously we don't ever go to the gym together. We go separately. He'd never seen me train. He'd not seen me at any of the training sessions of yourself, He'd never seen me do any of this stuff. And there's me like doing all these weights and all these burpees, and he's like, wow, like it was incredible. And
It was
yeah,
incredible. You
it was.
smashed the sandbag over the shoulder.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
you were you were doing more than I did, I think, on that. You were just hauling. This sandbag was so hard to grip.
it
It
was
was
so
what,
hard.
20
It's a
kilograms.
horrible, it's like a long sausage
It
sort
was
of
like you couldn't
shape.
grip it.
No.
And it's not that, like, the 20K, you could lift like a 20K disc quite easily, but because
Yeah.
the sandbag was so hard to grip,
Awkward.
and then you had to put it onto
Mm.
your shoulder and throw it over. Hannah was just like, chucking it over, turning round, squatting down to pick it up, chucking it over the other shoulder. She was incredible.
I was
And
focused, that's for sure.
yeah, you were very focused. Now, you've got another goal planned.
Mhm.
You got a goal
Yep.
planned for February as part of the coaching team. I
Yeah.
keep my clients on their toes.
Yeah, you
What's the
sure
next
do.
challenge?
So, I've signed up to do the Regent's Park 5K, which I've never run.
Doesn't run. She is now. She is
Yeah, I have. This week I've done 2 training for my running. I've been doing it this week,
yeah.
but I almost feel like I tried to do the couch 5K in lockdown, like I think millions of people did, because obviously you couldn't go and do anything. And after like week 2, my knees were hurting, my hams, everything was like, I was like, oh my God, I was like limping, I couldn't walk. But I've only done 2 run sessions, like with my gym sessions this week. But I already feel like, I think because I've built myself up and the strength in my legs and the strength in my body, so I can already feel, hopefully, and no, not hopefully, I will be able to do this.
Yeah,
And yeah.
yeah, you will be able to do it. And the strength training helps support the joints, and that's why you're going to feel a lot stronger. So, yeah, and obviously you got accountability to me. Not that you need
Yeah.
it, because you're very accountable to yourself, and that's what I want for everybody to learn that self accountability. Now, I want
Yeah.
to touch on this. I'm just conscious of time, but I want to touch
Yeah.
on this because you experienced a very stressful situation recently.
Mhm.
And like, I don't know whether you know this, but your Auntie Rachel reached out to me. I
Did
coached
she?
Rachel for a while, hence why she had my contact details. She reached
Okay.
out to me. I don't know whether you know that.
No.
Talk about your stressful situation first, and then I'm going to tell you what your Auntie Rachel said in
Oh
your
God.
text to me. It was all good,
Well,
by the way. It was all good.
oh, that's all right then. um. Oh, so recently I woke up on a Sunday morning to no power in my house. And then we discovered that actually we got a leak in our house, and it come through from the bathroom. And it went from bad to worse when we had a plumber who came and decided just to cut the pipes and flood the whole place. And so we were put in emergency accommodation because we had no electricity, no hot water, no heating, nothing. Um, and this went on for actually 11 days. We were in a hotel, and it was the most stressful time ever. Not having control. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I also suffer quite badly with anxiety. So this is very much the sort of situation that in the past would have completely triggered me, and I'd completely broken down. Um, but yeah, I had to just get on with it, and the inner strength I seem to have built from doing, from going through my coaching, through learning so much about myself, gave me the inner strength to just be able to cope. We are thankfully now back in our house. Yes, in the end, it was like we were out for about 12 days almost. And yeah, we've still got lots to come. In January, my house is going to be ripped apart. But ultimately, it was a horrible situation. But I definitely know that I would not have been able to cope a year ago with that, and I
Mm.
carried on. I went to the gym still. Didn't do as many sessions because obviously it was a bit harder, but I stuck to my eating routines. I wasn't going to allow, just because one thing had happened in the past, that would have been an excuse just to go, oh well, sod it, I'm going to now eat a bar of chocolate, or not more, a whole bag of chocolate and some crisps, because that'll make me feel better. But I realised that wasn't going to make me feel better, and I was able to stick to my goal, but also be very proactive, present in the situation, because I was more mindful.
Yeah, I think the word that you've missed out a really important word. You're resilient,
Gone.
Hannah. You've learned
Yeah.
mental resilience, and
Yeah.
mental resilience is a benefit of strength training.
Yeah.
It's one of the I'd say
100%.
side effect. It's one of the benefits of strength training, and showing up for yourself every day makes you more resilient. And for context, in this hotel, like Hannah didn't have a kitchen.
No.
Did you have a microwave?
No.
No. How did you eat your M&S dinners, your heat up dinners?
Oh, so my lovely neighbour, bless her, because I had no electricity. So for a few nights, I just didn't want to be in the hotel. We come home because we almost live in day by day, because every day a different contract was coming. So every day I didn't know what I'd be eating, where I'd be, whether I'd be in the hotel, whether we'd be back in our house. My lovely neighbour, she let me use her microwave.
Yeah.
So I was going to Asda's or Marks and Spencer's and choosing foods that I knew were within my plan or my goals, that were high in protein, I knew would nourish me still, because there is actually so much out there.
Mm.
People just think, oh, it's a microwave meal, but actually there's so much out there that you can eat that is healthy and nutritious for yourself. So yeah, we come back, I'd cook something in the microwave, my neighbour's microwave, bring it round back to my house, we'd eat, and then we'd go back to the hotel. So breakfast, though, I had nowhere to keep anything for my breakfasts. But I mean, we did have breakfast at the hotel. But again, it was just choosing things that I knew were going to satisfy me and not just be a 10-minute wonder that's going to fill me up and then I feel hungry.
Mm.
It was just making the correct choices.
Yeah. You've proved that, like, even when faced with a really stressful situation, and you know what, like, we talk about this specific stressful situation, but you also talk about social occasions and choosing, maybe not to have the dessert. what it really ties into is that emotional attachment and getting, when people seek comfort or pleasure from food, and food does give us comfort, and food is pleasurable, and it is there to be enjoyed. But when you only have food as a comfort, so in a stressful situation, you turn to food. When you're happy, you turn to food. When you're sad, you turn to food. And actually, now you've realized that you've developed so much, so many different ways to soothe and comfort, as well as celebrate and feel joyful, that
Yeah.
doesn't always revolve around food. It may do sometimes, but it doesn't always revolve around food.
No, not at all. It's your relationship you build yourself as well. That's your associations you've always built in the past, and now that's not it at all. You know, in the past I might have just turned to a chocolate bar, but actually now I've reached out to a friend, maybe even, and it's given me the confidence to reach out to people, and it, you know, the whole sort of situation. My friends were amazing, and they were so supportive. You know, and one of my friends had me round for dinner. She said, "Oh, I'm going to cook some, you know, whatever it was," and I go around her for dinner, you know, and Jude and everyone comes along. But people knew that, yeah, you know, food isn't the problem anymore. It's being there and being present, and the food doesn't consume you. I didn't sit there and eat. I could easily have sat in the hotel and eaten a bag of crisps, you know, could have gone downstairs and picked up whatever in the bar. You just choose not to do it because it's not going to make you feel good. So why would you do it?
You've come such a long way. Now, is there anything that you want to talk about, or I've left out, or you want to get across, or you want to say to anybody, anything at all?
I mean, for me, I just think that coaching, when you say to someone, "Oh, I've got a life coach," you know, "I've got a coach," they're like, "Oh god, what, you know, how fancy," or whatever, you know. But actually, you know, it's so real. Like, this journey is such a real journey, and it's not, you know, no faddy thing. It's a reality is that the things that I'm learning, and it really is that, it's coaching, you know, and it's coached me through so much more than just food. It's you, Deborah, have been inspiring to me. You know, I've learned so much from you, to the point that when I speak to my friends, I hear myself repeat things that you say to me, you know, and they're like, "Oh," they text me, "Thank you so much for that chat today, Hannah." You know, and I think that's because I've learned so much. And I think as a whole, it's just the whole, um, you know, the whole experience of this. And this isn't the end, this
No,
is
it
just the
really
start. Yeah. You know, there's so much more. I don't, you know, it's not about losing weight now. That's what I showed up to this coaching thinking all I wanted to do was lose weight. Actually, though, losing weight is obviously a result of what I'm doing, but actually the process that I'm going through, and the experience I'm having, the ladies that I'm meeting through yourself, you know, it's just all inspiring. And I just am treasuring this moment and this experience so much. And
is.
thank you, Deborah, for everything, you know, you do as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, Hannah, like, you are inspiring. I find you inspiring, and I think you've done it incredibly well. Now, if anybody listening they've thought about it, maybe they listen to my podcast, maybe they're looking at my social media and they're thinking, but not taking action, what would you say to anyone thinking about coaching?
Go for it.
Yeah,
You've nothing to lose, you know.
yeah.
Just go for it. And it's scary. Look, we're not silly. I was so scared, you know, and I think just trust yourself and give yourself that chance. Give yourself the chance that you deserve to invest in yourself, and to learn so much about yourself, because it's not just about weight loss, it's about just you as a person, you know. And
Mm.
you are your main priority, you should be your main priority, and so often that isn't the case. And actually, you choosing to say yes to Deborah is actually making that empowered choice to make yourself your priority.
I, Hannah, thank you so
That's
much.
what I
You've ended that podcast
say.
absolutely. Like, I can't add to that. You're absolutely right. And unfortunately, you know, women do sometimes put themselves at the bottom of the pecking order, or feel guilty for prioritizing themselves. But I liken it to, you know, if you're on an aeroplane, the first thing they say if you're there with a kid is you have to put your oxygen mask on first. And
Yeah.
it's like that. where you've got to look after yourself to be able to look after others. And you're certainly
100%.
doing that. Thank you so much for joining me. It's
No,
just,
thank you.
I just sit here, I could listen to you all day. I didn't tell you what your Auntie Rachel said. She
Oh yeah.
messaged me to say to me,
Oh no, what's she
thanked
going to say?
me. No, she thanked me and said to me how well you were coping in the stressful situation, and that if it hadn't have been for coaching, you would have, I can't remember her exact wording, but you would not have coped at
No,
all in the way that you did with that situation. And,
agree.
your life was upside down when you weren't in your own house and living in one room in a hotel. And she reached out to actually say how well you were doing. And,
Oh,
it's nice that it's noticed by others. I think your mum texts me from time to time as well. It's lovely.
I think that everybody just sees it, and that's amazing. My auntie's that auntie is, she's not one to give compliments all the time. So to receive that from her and to give it to you is like a humongous compliment. But like you say, everybody sees the benefits to it. Not just me, it's everybody around me.
Yeah, amazing. Anyway, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining me. Have a
Yeah,
lovely evening. And thank you,
you
everyone,
too.
for listening. If you're interested in coaching, please click the link in the show notes. And all my contact details and social media is in the show notes. And it would be great to hear from you.